Okay, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining. Today we're going to have a little bit of a chat on reselling. Um, just a few key points, important things within the reselling industry. Before we get started, for those of you who know me, thank you very much for clicking on. For those of you who don't, my name's Walter and I'm a reseller, side hustler, antique dealer, whatever you want to call it. I buy and sell antiques, collectibles, and hope to flip them for a profit. I've got a large antiques website, antiquesarena.com. So if you want to know what makes me think I'm qualified to give any advice, go and check out the channel. So today's video, we're going to have just a little chat on a few, as I say, areas within the reselling that I've selected. I'm not here to tell anybody how to run the business. It is literally, these things are the things I do. These are what work for me. If they work for you, great. If they don't, then you can do your own thing. It doesn't really make much difference. It's just a general chat, share some tips, some advice, and just have a little bit of fun. So before we go any further, Leanne, thank you for coming. Isabel, hello. I don't put my glasses on. Is that Tam? Tam and Bell? Yeah, Tam and Bell. Hi. Anyway, thank you for joining. So, if anybody wants to ask any questions, put them in the chat and we'll actually try and answer the questions. Other than that, I have actually printed off some things that, little sections I wanted to cover. First of all, being assessing your interest and commitment. Now, every reseller on YouTube, or a lot of the resellers on YouTube, promise the earth. They'd come online and they'd say, be a side hustler, be a reseller, and you're going to make a fortune. So I want people to understand what's actually involved in being a reseller, what it takes to make it successful, which is a lot of hard work, but we'll get into that, and how important it is to actually have an interest in what you're doing. Now, I absolutely love antiques, collectibles, weird and wonderful. I love it. Some people like toys, some people like music. Hang on, my PC is running low. What's going on there? 2 seconds. Sorry about that. My PC wasn't switched on. So yeah, some people love music, some people love toys. It is seriously draining and important to actually have, in my opinion, an interest in what you're doing, because people don't understand how hard this is and what's involved. And what you're going to need is a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of interest. Commitment is the biggest thing, in my opinion, with reselling and antiques. I have had the mind's helmet. I did answer you. I was waiting to open it in a live video, but I don't sell anything that people send to me anyway. I keep it all. It just reminds me that there are people that find my content valuable. So yeah, I want people to understand, literally, it's hard to explain. Where is it? An understanding of a time frame of what it's going to take to make this job worthwhile. Now, if you're doing a 9-to-5 job and you want to make side money, you want to make side hustle, sell anything, whatever, it doesn't make any difference what the contents are. Then there's ways of doing it, and we'll talk about them in just a minute. But if you want to turn it into a full career and actually leave your job, then you've got to be putting in 40, 50, 60 hours a week, sometimes more. It certainly isn't easy. What we got there? Good morning. And Isabel. Okay, so let's start off. shall we, in assessing your interests. Now, let's say you're doing a 9-to-5 job and you want to be a side hustler or a reseller. First of all, what do you want to sell? So you want to look into what interests have you got, whether it's antiques, whether it's music, toys, as I've just said. But then you need to do your research on the market to find out whether or not there is an actual demand for the product you want to sell. And I can tell you now, pretty much there's a demand for any product, no matter how small the niche is. Sometimes a small niche can actually benefit you because there's less people doing it. You can use things from around your home to start up. You don't even need massive capital. So you can use things you've got to start up. You can use eBay, Etsy, anything like that. I would recommend you work towards a website. Now, one of the things I always say is if you want to be in full control of your business, then you definitely need a website, because have the business switched off by eBay many a time. eBay got their 3-strike rule. If people complain about your services or your products, they can just switch you off like that. So while eBay is great, you're not actually a business owner while you're on eBay. You're just selling on their platform. So I would always suggest to somebody to spread out into other platforms, or certainly work on their own website. At least that's my view anyway. I've always said that the freedom that comes with having your own website is much more beneficial than having the access to people that eBay offer. So you've got to understand the market trends. So let's say, for example, what is selling now, which is mid-century. Now, within the antiques trade, there's a lot of Victorian ceramics and glass and things that just doesn't go anymore. If you went back a few years ago, a Staffordshire figure would be hundreds of pounds. Now you can't get £5 or £10. So staying up on market trends is seriously, seriously important. Personally, I think the way either earn a full-time living as a dealer or even to make a decent net profit after tax and overheads is to source your stock from next to nothing. Well, we'll go on to that one now. Sourcing your stock. Sourcing your stock is easy, isn't it? As far as I'm concerned, the easiest place to source stock is car boot sales, charity shops, flea markets, or job lots of auctions. But we'll have a look at them in just a minute. Yeah. Okay, well, let's look at sourcing. Where do you source? Now, I don't think it's as much about sourcing your stock for next to nothing as you say there. That is a massive part of it. But in all honesty, I buy things all the time for £1, £2, £3, £10 and sell them for hundreds. It's still having the right thing. Like the market trends, I've bought and I still buy pieces of Victorian or Georgian ceramics and glass that I know I'm going to end up sitting on for 3, 4, 5 years. So why do I buy them? I buy them because A, they're very good quality. They got a very good name to them. And I still think that there will be collectors for them and things always turn around. I don't buy Staffordshire and things like that. But let's say, for example, now Nankaro porcelain. It is extremely rare. It's not a massive following. It's not a massive following for anything, ceramics and glass at the moment. Whether people like it or not, we are in a recession. And whether people like it or not, me and almost every one of us watching, we sell non-essentials. And when you sell non-essentials, you then have to appeal to people's need, their desires to want something. So I tend to go for the rarest things I can. When I actually search market trends all the time. I'm always looking what's selling, what's not selling. I've just started moving into toys. I've never done toys. I really haven't. 2 weeks ago, I went to a car boot sale. Toys were selling really well. I was looking them up, moving memorabilia, die-cast cars, things like that. Now, I've never, ever done it. And they come in for next to nothing. I paid £50 for 4 cars. They were selling on eBay for 165 each. The movie memorabilia pieces, I paid a tenner for 2 pieces. One was up 100, one was up 55. So I'll spend 2 or 3, 4 hours a week just browsing eBay, what's selling. I'll go and check their sold lists, and I'll have an understanding of what is selling, what isn't selling. I'm always looking to change. When I learned the antiques, there's a lot of things you could pick up and go, what's this? And I wouldn't have a clue, because I tended to aim at the higher market pieces. I went for the better things. I thought there's only so much I can learn. So I thought I'd learn the better pieces that I knew, if I found them, would pull me money. So I'm always searching market trends. I'm always trying to learn something new. But you are right. If I go back to your comment there, which is you think the only way to make a full-time living is by source, I agree. And I also say what people don't realize is how hard it is to sell at a car boot sale. Now, I sell on the car boot sales all the time, and I put trays out of items in there for £1. I don't even bother going through them. If I do house clearance, if I do auction, anything, whatever I buy, if I buy a job lot or something, I'll take the one item out of one from my website. Everything else, I'll sell at £1. I don't care if it's worth £5, £10, £15. And even then, I'll have 10 or 15 trays on the floor with pound items that still don't sell. And that doesn't mean that they're not worth it. It's just undesirable. So I tend to really specialize on the rarer pieces. But yeah, sourcing your stock for nothing. Now, one way you can source your stock for nothing is don't buy off other dealers. I always buy off other dealers. I'll always have. But if you watch my early videos, I was spending £1,000 a week some weeks in Splot. But instead of buying off the other dealers, what you could do is actually get on your hands and knees and dig through the boxes on the floor and under the tables and things like that. Actually get dirty and go through all the silver plate looking for solid silver and rummage through all the boxes. Instead of having pieces cherry picked for you, dig them out yourself. The website owes me thousands, probably double figures, thousands. However, what I will say is I started the website for something like £1,500. I actually done a video on how to start a website using a company called Upwork. Now, you can go to Upwork and you can say, right, I got £500. Who's on there willing to build me a website? And you'll have people bidding you from all over the world, from India, Pakistan, you name it, anywhere. I think I outsourced mine to the Philippines. Mine was made or designed in the Philippines. And I spent about £1,500 originally on there. But I have since had upgrades, updates, servicing, a lot of work done, extra pages added. So I'm probably about 15,000 into the website now for it to look how it looks, give or take. But the freedom it gives you, eBay's rules, you can't sell, let's say, for example, you can't sell weapons. A military bayonet, you can't sell. I can sell them. It's everything. It's the freedom. If I have a complaint off a customer, I'm the one that has to deal with that complaint. And I do take them very seriously because I class it as my branding, and I'll look at branding in a bit. But when you're on eBay, literally they can flip a switch and they can just close your account. Now, they've done that, as I said, with a couple of people I know, but they didn't, when they argued and got it back on, they didn't just flip a switch and it was all back there. They had to relist everything, rephotograph everything, redescribe everything. So the work involved in a website is astronomical. Honestly, I put so much work into the website, it's shocking. But nobody can take it off me. It is my website, and nobody can flip a switch and it's gone. My listings are my listings. Whether people come and buy is down to me on how I advertise, how I present my website, and the rest of it. So anybody can have a website, and I would suggest anybody have a website if you're going to do antiques and reselling and things like that. We all love the treasure hunt. That is what gets us up in the morning, isn't it? Knowledge is king, but what I would say is, instead of trying to learn everything, learn one thing at a time. So you can still, that doesn't mean you can't buy stuff if you see it, but try and get a full understanding. There's so much out there to learn. You're never going to learn it. So try and get an understanding of one thing first. So whatever your interest is, right? And I say this genuinely because when you got a list for, I don't know, when I list 30, 40 pieces a day. So I'll put maybe 200 pieces a month, or sorry, a week on the website. And it takes hours and hours and hours, and it's draining. Then you want to make content on it, because let's be totally honest with you. If you're going to have a website, you've got to advertise the website. And one way of advertising the website is content like this. And if anybody on here got their own YouTube channel, which I know some of them have, they'll know how draining and tiring it is to constantly put videos out and get little return. So then you have to have an interest and an enthusiasm that goes beyond the immediate recognition from the viewers and other people. I agree with that as well. I tend to buy the best I can. This goes to what I said earlier about I don't research the run-of-the-mill stuff. You can hold up probably 15 things at a car boot sale and say I have no idea where it is because I've never bothered to learn it because it's a waste of my time. I go for the big names, the Waterford Crystals, the Christopher Dresses, the Liberties. I've researched and learned the stuff that pulls money. There's only so much you can learn in this business. So I learned whatever could bring me the most money. There was no point in learning about something that I'm going to pay £1 for and get £5 or £10 back. I'd rather learn about gold, where you can go to a car boot sale, rummage through a costume jewelry box and pull out a gold ring for 50p that you're going to sell or even melt for £100. Or like I did in Cowbridge, a solid silver vase from Iran for 50p. That's half a kilo. Now, there's no way of knowing all the different hallmarks throughout the world. But what you do then, you teach yourself how to identify silver and how to identify gold, as opposed to how to identify the marks. But I always buy the best I can possibly buy, and I only research stuff that I know is going to sell for good money. Time is the biggest thing we got, the biggest expense. Whether you want to look at it as expense of financial or time, it doesn't matter. Time is the only thing that's limited, and it's going to run out on us all. So why not make the most of the time you got and focus on the things that are going to give you the best return you can? How are you doing, Kieran? As a general seller, I look for items that are unusual, collectible, and if possible, I look for things that are hard to research on Google Lens, like drinking glasses, old pewter. One of my specialties is 18th century drinking glasses. I probably paid for my first house. Excuse me. I'm suffering. I'm not sure if it's a flu or a bit of COVID. I don't know. Is COVID going around you? Bread and rough. One of my first houses I bought just on buying drinking glasses from car boot sales. I'd buy them for 50p, 30p. Every single stall at a car boot sale has got a box of glasses from Granny's glass cabinet. Almost every old house, or certainly that I know, around Wales and things like that, had Granny's glass display cabinet, and all the stuff out of there goes into a box and goes to the car boot sale. Whether it's a bit of Royal Albert bone china, or whether it's drinking glasses. I talked about this in the car boot sale video the other day, that when another car boot sale charity shop video, sorry. When the charity shop are literally Google Lens and everything, but when there's stuff like a drinking glass, they can Google Lens it, but they get 100,000 results. So I can still buy crystal, I can still buy drinking glasses. Anything that isn't immediately identifiable with Google Lens, definitely is one to look into. If you can give yourself a little bit of knowledge that somebody else needs and they haven't taken the time to learn, then you're obviously giving yourself an advantage. Definitely one man's junk. I agree with that. Although, have you seen me years ago when I was hoarding in my sheds? They're empty now, but yeah, terrible hoarder. Middle of the road items for fair prices being killed by eBay supply. You either have to buy cheap and sell cheaper or go high end. It's supply and demand, isn't it? In any business, wherever you go, is supply and demand. eBay has flooded the market and saturated everything because people can access anything now, and it is always who's got the cheapest item, who's got the cheapest product. But that isn't always the case that wins. I was going to look at it later, but if you understand branding, right, your name can be a brand. Right? Antiques Arena is a brand, but whether it's Kirsten's Collectibles or whether it's whatever, your name can be a brand. And if people associate your brand with positivity, then, for example, if they know you only sell quality, if they know you don't buy stolen, if they know you don't buy or sell junk, if they know they're going to get the item and not get scammed, then I do get people would rather pay more to buy the item off me than buy it from eBay. And I've seen this countless times where they have literally said, do you know what? You're 30, £40 more than eBay, but we know we're going to get it. We know it's going to be quality. I do money back guarantee returns for 14 days on anything, no quibble at all. It's about the brand. That's why when I sold a decanter and Royal Mail wouldn't deliver a decanter to Australia for me, I went out of pocket by £40 to make sure they had the decanter that they'd bought. Because the importance of your brand is, well, it can't be understated. That is the most important thing there is. So if you're trying to build a company, if you're a faceless seller on eBay, and from what I understand, they're trying to make it faceless. So there'll be no shop fronts, there'll be no names, there'll be nothing in future. There'll just be the products, because I believe they're trying to make it faceless. I could be wrong, but I believe I've seen a video on that where they're trying to get away with removing everybody's faces, everybody's details, everybody's company names, everything, and just have lists of the products for people to buy. But people, they buy off me because they know they get the product, they get it, it's going to arrive in one piece, and I don't give no hassle. If they want a refund, the refund's there. So they will pay a premium for a brand. But as a rule, if you're buying mediocre, then yeah, that's why I don't go for mass-produced items. If you go for mass-produced items, it's generally a race to who's the cheapest. Whereas if you go for something that's handmade, hand-painted, hand-decorated, somebody's taken a lifetime to learn a skill to make, then you can almost set your own price. Agreed, although controversial, I have stopped buying trade from fellow dealers at antique markets and fairs, etc., as the net profit isn't there, and now buy at local pop-up auctions or house calls. I can't explain it, but networking is a massive thing within the antiques world or the reselling and the side hustle world. Knowing other dealers, then other dealers will flip the stuff to you to make a bit of extra cash flow, things like that. It's magnificent. I used to go to Splot all the time, and dealers would keep the stuff in the backs of the cars for me. And I wouldn't even have to walk around the car boot sale. They'd go, coming over, have this, have this, have this. And I'd walk out of there with the 10 of the best things out of the car boot sale. Then they never even made the tables. But what I will say to that is, whilst we're in a recession and everybody else is being careful on what they spend, you then have to be careful on what you buy in order to survive in the market. The only way to survive a recession is to lower your prices or increase the desirability of what you got. That's the only way in it. Because to get people to spend the money, if they got a choice between food or a vase on the window, it's a hard call for them to choose that vase. So you've got to make sure it's pretty bloody good. Initial outlay may be an issue, re the website. What I would say is, what are your goals? Do you want to always be a reseller on eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, whatever platforms you use? Or do you want to be your own boss, have a business that you can build and grow? On my website, I got 5,000 pieces of stock listed. That 5,000 pieces of stock would cost me probably £400-500 a month on eBay just as recurring fees for going round and round and round and round. I've got pages and pages of blogs. I've got about me pages. I've got pages advertising all my books. You name it, it's all on there and it's all free. I get 30,000 visitors a month to the website. Literally every month, 30,000 minimum to the website. Sometimes I was listing on eBay and I'd put a bit of Victorian glass on or something, and you know what it's got the count, the view count. Sometimes the view count, I'd have like 5 or 10 in 10 days. Considering it's supposed to be a global market, the view count on some of the products was absolutely shocking. Yet on my own website, I'm generating 30,000 views a month. Now, whether that's people viewing because they've Google Lensed an item and they click on it to see the value, whether that's people coming in to see the blog posts, or whether that's people coming in searching for an item, found it and bought it, or found it, bookmarked it because it's a bit high, maybe make an offer, because I do make an offer as well. Either way, I haven't been on eBay now for about 4 years, and I don't plan on going back to it. I don't need to. The website for me was the perfect solution. But even if I said to you, put £50 a month away, and then at the end of the year, you'll have £500-600 in a kitty that you can go on at work and say, right, I got £500-600, who can make me a website? But even that now, I don't think you even need to do that now, because I believe some of these companies, I'm not sure if GoDaddy were advertising this week actually, that they'll design your website in 5 minutes using AI. So you literally go to these companies now, you tell them all about what you want to sell, what you want, and AI builds the website for you instantly within 5 minutes. I don't know how much that costs. I haven't looked it up. There might be a video I can do in the future. But if somebody needs a website, that may be a way to go. All I would say is, if you're having a website, you got to first of all make sure they do keyword SEO on your images. Because originally I had a Vistaprint website, and although they done keyword search for the images during all the articles and all the pages, in the shop they didn't do keyword search on the images in the shop. And my argument was, when people go on, let's say for argument's sake, you go onto Google and you go, right, I want to buy some 18th century drinking glasses. So they might type in the search 18th century opaque stem twist drinking glass, and all the pictures will come up. And then they'll click on the picture, go to the website, view the item, possibly buy it or bookmark it or whatever. Vistaprint never offered that. And I built a beautiful website with Vistaprint back years ago. And when I phoned them up, I said, well, why aren't my images coming up on search? And they said, well, we don't offer that. They then wanted me to put all my stock images into an article to then send people, when they come to there, over to the shop. And I said, I ain't doing that. People ain't going to click on that. So that's when I didn't do it. So make sure you've got Google image search on your shop products. That's very, very important. Other than that, anything else you can build. But if you're going to have a website, it's branding. No matter what happens, keep your promises. If you promise somebody a product, if you promise someone a service, even if you lose money, deliver on it. Because I'm telling you now, word of mouth is more powerful than anybody realizes, genuinely. And then you need content, and no matter what you do, you have to advertise it. And content, like I do the YouTube videos, some people do TikTok, some do Instagram, so forth. But you've got to have some form of advertisement. There you go. Maybe video shorts, definitely. But you've got to do some form of advertising. I showcased Kira's website in a video recently. and he got some lovely things on there. And he has only just started. It's only a small website, but it's a very good-looking website. I've just started my website, and while it's slow, I love having it. The control to present items exactly how I want is far better. Plus, not having eBay to 20% on high-value items is a bonus. It wasn't just the 20%, is it? I think when you added in my listing fees, because I always had massive listings, then you added in the final value fees, then you added in the fee on the postage, because most of my items end up going overseas, so it's always 20, 30, 40 pound postage, and then they take the commission on that. I was losing between 25 and 30% to eBay across the board. So you could say 1 week a month, any income I had went straight to eBay. Then 1 week a month, any income I had went straight to buying stock. That only left me 2 weeks' income to live on and improve and grow the business. I just couldn't do it when I was on eBay. It's designed to give you enough money to live on, but not enough money to grow. And for me, it's all about the growing. Who did you actually put your website with, Kieran? Maybe people might be able to get an idea there. And if you want to say the cost, it's up to you. But I know mine originally was like 1,500, but I'm about 15 grand into mine now because I've had a lot of work done. But the back end is where the money comes in. It's not the front and building, it's the back end, all the SEOs, all the configurations, and so on. Sometimes you need the bread and butter items itself for less than £20, whilst looking for the higher end items that are more niche and people know less about. I agree with you 100% that we do need bread and butter items. But what I will also say is it takes the same time and the same effort and the same costs to ship a £10 item as it does a £500 item. And whilst it's not always easy to get the £400 or £500 item, if you train yourself to look for the higher value items, believe it or not, they do come in quite easy. I tend to skip over the £10 and £20 items. The only time I'm listing a £10 or £20 item on the website is when I'm going through my garage or things like that, and I don't want to take it to a car boot sale because it's too good for a car boot sale. And I'll go, all right, I'll chuck that on. But I don't actually go out my way to buy a £10 item or a £20 item, and I never seem to struggle. Now, it doesn't matter if you're doing shoes, computer games, it doesn't matter. There's high end on every market there is. I popped on to Nick and Andrea's 10th anniversary live yesterday, and Peter was sharing some trainers he'd bought at the car boot sale and a PS4. As he said, he's going to get £70 for the PS4. I don't know how much trainers, probably 30, 40, £50 a pay on the trainers. Yes, we need our bread and butter stock. But do you know how hard it is to sell that bread and butter stock? Because what you got to realize is people with money still got money. Middle class and the lower class or the working class are struggling because of the cost of living and everything else. And they're the ones that then got to decide, do they pay the bills? Do they eat something? Or do they have, as I say, the bread and butter item for £10 or £20? I don't know about you, but I noticed a massive drop off this last year or so. That's why I don't bother pricing up items at car boot sale for £2 or £3, £4, £5 anymore. I just sell it all off at a pound. Because if it's not something that's good enough for my website, I'd rather have a pound, have it gone. I don't go to the boot sales to make money. I go to the boot sales to get in early. So that's just my view on it. But that doesn't work for everybody. If you were making a good living buying for a pound and selling it for £20, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, is it? It really isn't. But I tend to look at last week. I went out last week to an antique centre. I bought a set of 6 Waterford Hawks for a tenner, a set of 6 Waterford Sherry glasses for a tenner, a Moorcroft lamp for £18, and a solid silver crocodile ring for £8. And that came out of an antique centre. So the stuff's out there. You just got to go and look for it. If you can train yourself to find the dearer pieces, then 100%. Good morning. Well, afternoon now, I think. I have friends that open their home up by appointment to flog this stuff. Everything's priced. I know a few people that do that. I also know a few people, I think Kieran's going to do appointments only on his new premises. Kieran's opened a new premises. He currently has a facility or an area in the pumping station in Cardiff. But he's opening a new premises, which he's going to do by appointment only for now. But I know loads of people that go by appointments. The downside with that is you've got to be well known for people to know to make an appointment. The way I look at it is you need 100 eyes on your product to sell 1 or 2 products. So how successful are they with appointments only? If it works for them, great, but I don't think that'd work for me. Plus, I've got 3 shipping containers now full. So that would fill up a few homes if they wanted to come and view at the home. How many sales per month does a good website like yours attract? I normally have a turnover of north of £1,000 a week. Now, some weeks that's more profit than other weeks, but it's very rare I do less than £1,000 a week on the website. So it's all about what you want to actually achieve. Because I don't think 50,000 a year turnover is bad for a website on secondhand stuff I buy at a car boot sale, especially when it's mostly profit. But I do north of 1,000 every week on the website and get 30,000 views every month. I am actually in the middle of monetizing the website as well, which is something you can do if you get a website. Because I'm getting 30,000 visitors a month, I can put adverts on the website like I do on the YouTube videos, which then means I'll get paid even if they don't buy. So if they come and read a blog, I'll get paid. If they come and look at the stock, I'll get paid because there'll be little adverts dotted everywhere, and I'll get paid like you do on YouTube. So I'll then probably earn another 400 or 500 a month just on the adverts that are on the website that people don't even realize they're looking at, because when they scroll down a page to look at the product, in the corner there'll be, or down the side, there'll be an advert or 2. So there's loads of different ways of monetizing it, but a good website you can normally do north of 1,000 a week easy. Now I know a couple of people that are doing 5,000 and 10,000 a week, but they're doing high-end items. I'm just buying from a car boot sale. But what I will say is I've got a very high stock level, so that helps, because a lot of what I buy, try to put it in the best way I can. As I said, things go up and down. Things are in taste, things ain't in taste, but I'll still buy them if I think they're quality enough, if they got enough about them that they'll either sell eventually or they'll come back round. I'm not going to leave an 18th century drinking glass there or a Georgian piece of porcelain or something. If I see it, I'm going to buy it. Even if it's not the most saleable now, it'll go on the website. It might sell next year. I got pieces on the website that take 3, 4, 5 years to sell. But if I'm paying £1, let's say I buy 15, 20 things for 50 quid, which is easy at a car boot sale. If I sell one of those items pretty quick to get my 50 quid back, the rest can sit there for 2 years to 5 years. It doesn't matter. And then eventually you get a percentage. Let's say I got 5,000 items on there. If I sell 10% a month, that's 50 items a month. That's not unrealistic. I tend to do between 5 and 10, 5 and 15 items a week. So that's not unrealistic. And when you consider some of my items, I got pieces on my website, £3,000, £4,000, £5,000, all the way down to like £20, £30, £40. So it's definitely worth having. But there's other ways of monetizing websites as well as just your stock. But what I would say is the blog posts are extremely valuable on the website turnover. I never achieved half the people come in before I started doing the blogs. So educational blogs, or even my personal blog, it brings in a lot of people regularly. I've made traders. I've actually, I don't go out drinking. I do have the occasional drink at home, but I do is at car boot sales. All my friends are other dealers, so I know exactly where you're coming from there. When I sell at a flea or antique show, 70% of my sales are to the trade. Dealer to dealer sales keep many people afloat. Agree with you 100%. And I have trade to buy off me all the time. The only thing I'm saying is, if you can buy the stuff cheaper by digging in the boxes yourself instead of being lazy, and I'm not saying anyone's lazy, I'm just saying me. I was referring to me. Because I used to go to Splot and I got that complacent. I wouldn't even look in the boxes on the floor. I'd just go to the 10 or so dealers I know who bring the best pieces for me. I'd hand over £1,000 and I'd go home and I'd make 3-4 grand back. It might take me a year or two, but I'd get 3 or 4 grand back for that £1,000. I was spending £1,000 a week in Splot every week without fail. The dealers loved me, but the stuff they sold me was unbelievable. I'd be having mice and porcelain cups and saucers, kitschy paperweights for a few pound. Then as people start struggling, the prices go up and up and up to the point where I'm paying the same money for half the goods I was having, and then I'm struggling to get the profits off the pieces, so I'm then sitting on more items. And I'll give you an example. I was offered a plaque this last few weeks ago, big trophy plaque. And the dealer turns around to me and says, I want £650. And I said, that's never, ever, ever going to sell. I said, it's going to sit on the website because I'm going to put 2 grand on it. And it's going to sit on the website and it wouldn't sell whether I put 700 on it or 2,000 on it. It's only going to be one type of buyer at once, say. Well, two. It's A, going to go to a museum, or it's B, going to go to another miner. And the miners can't afford what I want for it. So I said, I'll give you £350 just for it to be an ornament on my site. And he obviously didn't take it. He wanted the 650, but I can find stuff in the car boot sales and things in boxes for £1 and £2. I don't need to be paying that type of money for it to just sit on the site and never ever sell. Make sure your website is open source and people can add things over time. What do you mean by open source? I don't know what that means. I have no idea what open source means there. If you can explain that, I'd be very grateful, because my website, I just added a page now. As you know, I just published 3 books. One, the guide on how to be, everything I know about how to be a reseller. Another one, everything I know about gold and silver and investing, how to buy it on a budget, and the coloring book. I created a page on the website and put the books on the page. So anything I want on the website, you can just add. So I don't understand what you mean by open source, because I don't allow other people to contribute to my website. I have many people saying, will you put a guest post on the blogs? But then you've got to put links back to their pages and things like that. So I'd say, no, I don't do it. Anything that goes on my website is 100% belonging to me. So I would appreciate if you could actually explain that, because I don't know what that means. So one thing on eBay, just to try it out, never again. eBay is a good place to make an income. I'm not going to slag it off. Well, I am, but not to that extent. You can make money on eBay, and I know plenty of dealers who make good money on eBay doing turnover now. There's a lot of scams on eBay. I'm reminded about that scam with Nick and Andrea. They bought a brand new car light. They sold it. The bloke took it to the garage. They inspected it, fitted it. He drove it around for a week, cracked it, then had his money back on eBay. Took it back off the car and sent it back. Now, our main dealers would have told him where to go for that. He was inspected by the garage before they fitted it. He inspected it. It was fitted on the car. They drove it around for a week. They broke it. Then they had their money back on eBay. You have no control when you're on eBay. You really don't. And that's just one example. I've heard horror stories of people returning bricks. So they'll buy a product off you and they will literally return a house brick and say, well, no, here's the postage weight. The weight was there. It was right. So I've seen some really nasty horror stories on eBay, but that goes for any online selling, I suppose, doesn't it? No disrespect to the resellers who box of miscellaneous at auction. Buy, sell bits on for £8 to £20. I used to do this in the late 90s, and it's soul destroying, hard work for small profit. I've done that. That's how I started. I used to go to auctions and I'd buy a box for £5 and I'd literally sell it on them for 20, 30, £40 on the car boot sales, back at the auction the following week buying more. It's hard graft, but you know what? You learn the job that way. you handle a lot of items, and the more items you handle, the quicker you learn. So that's a good thing in that aspect. But yeah, definitely, it's hard work. But I done a section in my new book where I wanted people to understand the reality of being a reseller, because a lot of the channels out there, and not everyone, but a lot of the higher end channels out there promise to make people rich, and it's never going to happen. Replace a 9-to-5 job, yes. Have a good lifestyle, yes. We don't do this because we're going to get rich. We're never going to get rich from reselling, buying at car boot sales and things. And people need to have an understanding of what to actually expect. I get up some morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. I work all day. I pick the baby up from school. I then see to the baby until she goes back to bed 6, 7 o'clock. And then I'm working from 7 o'clock again till like 2 or 3 in the morning again, and then go bed for a few hours. I work hard. People don't realize whether it's writing books, whether it's writing blog posts, whether it's listing. I list 30, 40 items in one day, literally. And I might do that 3 or 4 days a week. It is really hard work. And then you got people on YouTube saying, oh, do this, follow this, and you're going to be a millionaire. And you're not. But what you do it for is the lifestyle, the freedom. First of all, you don't have to deal with a 9-to-5 a-hole boss. And let's be honest, you could be working for minimum wage and they're acting like they're paying you £100 an hour. They want everybody a soul for minimum wage. They want your holidays, they want overtime without question. If they got another job on, they go, oh, I need you to stay so-and-so. They don't care about how it affects your life. And this is all minimum wage. When you're a reseller, you get the freedom to, if you're ill, take a day off. If you need a doctor's appointment or hospital appointment, you don't need to ask for permission to go. If it's your child's sports day at the school, you can go to it. One of the things I've always said is I used to go to Gloucester. I used to drive up to Gloucester car boot sale. I'd work the morning and I'd stop in a pub on the way back and I'd sit down at the side of the River Severn and I'd be having a pub meal while I was looking at the stuff I bought. And I'd be researching it and that. And the lifestyle is absolutely fabulous. That's why we do this. It's the freedoms. A lot of the resellers I know have a problem with authority. I seriously do. I have a major chip on my shoulder with authority, with the government, with everything like that. I hold my hands up. I do. I don't care. But it's the lifestyle we do this for. It's not for anything else. Appointments only viewings can get you enough footfall to actually make a living. Oh, that's question mark, right? Sorry. I don't know. I've never done it. Personally, there wouldn't be enough footfall for me to make a living. It really wouldn't. But if anybody in the chat or watching, or even later watching, because I know a lot of people will watch after the event. So if you're watching, leave a comment, because we can always come back and check the comments. If you do appointment-only viewings, leave a comment and let us know, does that actually provide you with enough footfall to result in the sales? Because I'd like to know myself. Trial and error, yeah, okay. Done that one. I doubt you could make a living just with an appointment-only shop. For me, it will just be a place to work from, take pictures, etc., and display items, which would otherwise just be in storage. That's how I feel, but we don't know. It's not something I could comment on because I genuinely don't know. Now, I've been doing the reselling, side hustle, the antique dealing for 30 years, 25 to 30 years. I was doing it as a child before that with my parents going around car boot sales. So I actually do consider myself an expert in reselling. I don't consider myself an expert in antiques or anything. I'm a general dealer. I got a general knowledge over a lot of things, but I'm not an expert in anything. But what I will say is, after 2.5, 3 decades of work in the car boot sales, of work in eBay, I've had my own website now for nearly 5 years. I think I'm qualified to talk about the best practices that have worked for me. I don't think that would work, but I will be really interested to see if anybody comments and says, yes, it works. Now, what I will say is, If you watched the podcast I done with the Trades United this last week, I pointed out it's all over theft and things like that, and power tools and things. And I pointed out that resellers are also targeted. Now, 20 years ago, I had my van stolen fully loaded. I also know a dealer who was followed back from an antique fair, tied up and robbed. They took all their gold and silver. But then, because they wouldn't come on the podcast and actually talk about it, I produced the sheet of Ian Townsend, who had his head beaten in with a hammer, and they stole 100 grand's worth of jewellery off him. Now, he has gone to appointments only. But I suppose he is a big enough name and being in London that it works. But I don't think it would work for general people like you and me. Well, that's just my opinion. I don't know. We'll see. But that is Kieran there, who I mentioned earlier, started up a second unit. The amount of work you have to put into a website is incredible, particularly the back-end SEO. I tried to do mine myself, but the learning curve is huge and challenging. Stock levels have to be high. I couldn't do it. I've had 6 or 7 websites over the years, from Vistaprint to I even tried Shopify, and nothing was getting me sales, period, nothing. I always ended up back on eBay, always. And then COVID struck, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to have, because my shop was closed at the time, I need a platform that gives me more control. And that's when I built the website. So 2019, 2020. So I'm within 24 now. So that's how long I've had the website. And I've turned it from then to now, 5,000 pieces of stock. Now, what you got to realize is, if you sell something on eBay, 30 days later, that item is gone. If I put something on my website for sale and it sells, in 2 years' time, if somebody's still searching for that product, my photographs are still on my website. So that product will still bring them in. I don't know if I'm explaining that right. But when people do search engine search, Google image search and things like that, and they look into something to buy. So let's say Waterford Crystal. So they type in Waterford Lismore Hawks. I've got a few sets. So even if they sold out, they can click on it and it'll bring them to the website and they go, okay, well then they sold out. Let's see what else they got. So I got 5,000 pieces listed on the website, average 10 photographs per item. That is 50,000 photographs I've got drawing people into the website every week. Bear in mind, once I monetize the website with the adverts on the shop, even if the item have sold and they come in and they see the item have sold, I'll get the advert for them clicking on that. Then they'll go to the rest of the site and view and see whether or not they can find. So volume is, I'm trying to think of the term behind it. No one is accumulating. So even if the item sells, those pictures are accumulating to draw more people in every month. Love the book. Wish I had that one at first. Thank you. I do appreciate that. One of the things, because I'm dyslexic, one of the things I struggled with is worrying whether people found value in it. The cost had to be the cost because Amazon takes such huge costs for printing and shipping and outsourcing and all the rest of it. On like a 25, 30 pound book, you only get like £3 or £4 return anyway. It's quite shocking. But my concern was making sure people had value from the book. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Open source is where people can create integrations, add-ons. For example, we have a widget that allows reviews, stars, make us stand out before people have clicked. Now, my website was built with WordPress and Elementor. And there are options there where you can add on widgets and other options. For example, I'll give you an example. I added on the Royal Mail widget. So I just put in the weight, and then they get billed automatically once they enter their address. But that only done in the UK. But then I wanted a worldwide widget, which meant I had to then pay for the additional worldwide widget. So here's a thing for you to check here on. If you've got the Royal Mail tool, have you got the worldwide tool? Because you've got to pay for the worldwide tool. So if people from America or Australia want to buy from you, it then takes the weight you've put in the product and bills them accordingly. So I don't have to do anything other than just say, this is the weight of the item. I've also got an anti-copy widget on my website. So, for example, to make it harder for people to steal the information on the website, they can't just highlight it and copy it. They'd have to literally sit there and type it out, which would take them hours. So I think all websites now come with add-on widgets. But just in case, make sure. It's a good heads up for people. You have to add these to your website. Can't just be put on by other people. Right, yeah. Definitely learn a lot selling random bits and bobs when you're newbie. A lot of the time is spent researching in the early days. Really got to love what you do to do this for 25 years. With the research, what I will say is research every single item until you know what it is. For the simple reason is I have had the smallest of items. I'll give you an example. A Masonic orb. It was like a little football. When I bought it, I thought, it's just a little gold pendant that I could sell for 20 quid. This was back when gold was like £3 a gram. And it was like 5 or 6 grams. I thought, well, I'll get 20 quid in scrap. And I was playing with it, and it opened up into this Masonic cross. And when I actually researched it, it was a Masonic orb that was selling for like £200 to £300, and I almost weighed it in for £20. Now, I make mistakes all the time. Everybody does. This game is so big, there's no way you're going to know what you're doing. You can just do the best you can do. But I trend now. There's things I know just from quality. When you look at them, you can see the inferior quality or the no design to them. There's a lot of things I disregard. But if it's something that I think is unusual, after 25 plus years, I think if I haven't seen one of them before, I need to research it. So I research everything I can. And yeah, you've got to love what you do to be doing this. It's not just to be doing it for 25 years, to make a living out of it. Now, it all comes down to your expectation. All right. What do you want to do? Do you want a side hustle that you can make £100 or £200 a week extra? You can do that with your eyes closed. You can go to a car boot sale on weekend, buy 2 or 3, 4 items, list them on eBay, right? Go back to work Monday morning, and you can make £200 or £300 a week extra, no problem at all. But if you want to replace the 9 to 5, if you want the freedoms, you've got to then put in the work. And I'm all about the long term. Do you want to do it forever? Do you want to be listing on eBay forever, paying 25% of your take forever? When you got the cost of a setup of a website, let's just base it on the £1,500 I paid. All right, £1,500. Then I pay £100 a month hosting now because of the size of the site. And I pay probably another £100 a month on different widgets and things like that, like the Royal Mail calculator. And I've got a lot of widgets on the site. So let's say I pay about £2,500 a year on the site. I was paying £350 to £400 a month on eBay. So in the cost of a year, I've saved a couple of £1,000 from selling on eBay on the commissions. I've got 5,000 items on there that I'm not paying eBay a rolling over fee. I've got the possibility now of monetizing the adverts. I can put articles and blogs to draw in more people. It's everything. And you're building a business that you actually own, that one day you could maybe have an out on. That maybe one day you can say, do you know what, I've got 100,000 articles, I've got 100,000 pieces of stock, I'm going to sell the business as a whole going concern. It's possible. You can't do that with eBay. I see, since all these new HMRC laws have come in, the amount of people who've tried to sell their businesses to me is shocking. But I'm not interested in clothes and shoes and things like that. But the amount of people I'm seeing saying, right, and you've probably seen yourself on all the groups, Facebook groups, oh, I'm shutting down, anybody want to buy all this? And I'm not saying it's all because of the HMRC, but I know a lot of it is. HMRC brought out the laws, didn't they, that all sellers now have to be reported to HMRC by eBay, Facebook, and all the other marketplaces. So if you're selling stuff through eBay and things like that now, HMRC got your name. Plain and simple. Now, technically, you don't have to declare until you've had £1,700 worth of earnings or 30 items. But don't tell me they're not sending the details of every single seller. And if you're then on mobility or anything else, then you're going to be flagged up as earning money when you shouldn't be. But I'm seeing a lot of people selling off their businesses saying, oh, I've got all this stock and it's listed on eBay for this amount, and nobody wants it because it's just stock. It's not a business. Right, WordPress has got open source option, right? Well, there you go. WordPress, I had mine done on with Elementor. But yeah. Upwork is where I had mine built, but there's other options now. You can have them built with AI and everything. But I would recommend people go into a website and make sure it's open source. I bought the last one of those. Oh, there you go. I bought one of those Masonic balls, cost, as you say, 200 quid-ish. But I almost sold one of them for like 15, 20 quid. All because I wasn't really paying attention. I just thought it was like a little football gold charm. But when you open it up, it was a gold cross. I know I'm rough, I'm sorry. But I'm trying. I was absolutely fine last night. When I scheduled the video, I was absolutely fine. And then I had a really rough night. I woke up this morning, I thought, oh my God, my throat is killing me, my head is killing me. I thought, no, I'm still doing the video. I've scheduled it, so I'm doing the video. How many of us can hold our hands up to selling items cheap and then finding out just how much they're worth? I sold an original photo from the 1920s for the opening of the Egyptian tombs for £50. I can beat that one. Before I had the website, I used to buy stuff from auction. I'd buy it from house clearance. I would hoard the best stuff into my attic, and then I'd make a living on this crap. Always with the intention of opening a website or opening a shop. Anyway, I needed to raise money for a house. And I thought, you know, I'm going to just take it all. And I took everything from Archibald Knox, Liberty Bomb vases, Newlyn Copperware, everything, and I took it down to Amphibian in Cardiff, an auction house. And, you know, he put it all in one job lot. He literally just went like that with stuff that should have been £300, £400, £500 a piece and put it in one miscellaneous job lot. Then, in the same listing, I had a book or a portfolio of 50 chromo lithographs by Matisse. And they were Picasso in style, but these were limited edition chromo lithographs. They sell it for around £200 to £300 each, and it was something like 40, 50 in the portfolio. And he sold the entire booklet for like £100 and something. I was crying. I must have lost £2,000 or £3,000 just on the stock I put into that auction that day to try and raise money. Worst thing I ever done. I haven't actually gone back to the auction house since. That's how much he annoyed me. Gutting. That then brings me back to the branding. Right. Anytime you see that seller now selling something, you're going to think to yourself, well, it's not going to arrive anyway. So I don't want it. Right. Your branding is the most important thing you can do. Associate yourself with good quality items. Make sure if you make a promise, you keep it. Hence, I'm ill, but I'm still on the film today. The decanter, Royal Mail. They said I was going to blow a plane up basically with a decanter. I shipped, it wasn't a uranium decanter or nothing. It was a Edinburgh Crystal square decanter, a simple decanter. It was nothing special. I sold it for £55 because it was a half decent pattern. They paid me 50 quid postage, and I shipped it with Royal Mail. It came back 2 weeks later. Your item had density issues in the scan, so we opened it up to look what it was. So they opened it up, so it was a glass decanter, and still deemed it was dangerous to the plane, so sent it back. However, I then parted with £85 postage and sent it through Parcel Force Royal Mail, and it went. Same aeroplane, same company, I just paid more for the service and they shipped it. But that's me keeping my promise. So anytime somebody hears the word Antiques Arena or Walter or Edward, everybody's constantly asking what's my name. They did yesterday on the video. Is Walter. Edward is my name. So I go by Walter if I want to be more posh or more official and actually get a bit of respect on the phone, or I go by Edward for friends. But anytime someone uses my name or uses Antiques Arena, first of all, they know it's honest. I got plenty of dealers who will say to me, "There's my jewelry box, go through it." They know I won't take a thing. They've known me long enough to know I would never do anything like that, right? And it's that trust you want. So I'm honest. If I make a promise, I try to stick to that promise. Unless something seriously bad happens, I don't deviate. If I sell you something, I will do the best I can to get it to you. And if I sell you something, I will take the time to make sure it's wrapped, that it is not going to get broken and leave you feeling like that. It doesn't matter whether I was £11 vase or £1,000 vase. If I've took the time to sell it, I've taken your money, my promise is I'll get it to you in one piece. It's your branding. That is what is your business has to be about. I totally lost track of what I was going to do. I printed off a thing of what I wanted to cover, but what I'll probably just do break it down, because it's literally the reseller business in total, from getting started, sourcing, business models. I was going to cover basically everything. From what I'll probably do, I'll break it down into smaller sections and just do films on it. What's the time now? How long have I been on? Yeah, I've been on a while anyway. So if you haven't got any more questions, I'll see if there's any questions. Hang on, wait, there. If you want to have another 5 or 10 minutes, if anybody's got any questions, if not, I'll probably call it a day, and I'll probably make the videos on detailed instructions on how to start as a reseller or how to improve your things individually. I'm down your way every year in beautiful Wales. The few occasions I went to Cardigan to look at the only antique shop there was always closed. Cardigan. I'm trying to think. There's an antique centre, I'm sure, in Cardigan. Was that Carmarthen? I'm not sure. Because there was an antique fair and antique centre in Cardigan, which is gutting anyway, either way. I don't know if you saw the video I put out last week, the things I bought from the pumping station in Cardiff. But just because it's an antique centre, don't assume they know what they're doing. A lot of people just buy the stuff from auction, bang her in the antique centres, thinking they're going to chuck a quick profit on it and have it out. Doesn't mean they know what they're doing, and every single dealer makes mistakes, including me. I sold an 8-carat gold necklace at the end of last season because it was a foreign hallmark. I didn't recognise it, in Tiraberth for 50p. And I sold a solid silver compact this year for I think £2 or £3. I searched it over and I couldn't find a hallmark, and it just didn't look quite right, but I missed the hallmark. So don't think for 1 second, we don't all make mistakes. And go around the antique fairs and the antique centres and have a look. Down a little side road, the Marketplace Centre is closed for refurbishment. It is Cardigan then, right? That's poo. It really is. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. I'll make a couple of individual videos, I think, on the instructions for reselling, but I'll do this more anyway. Come on and do some just live Q&As and just general chit-chats. For everybody who joined in today, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And if anybody's watching afterwards, leave a comment and see what you think. Thanks for now, guys. I'll see you soon.